There we go. All right, it is 6:30. We'll go ahead and start our committee of the whole meeting. Any question on the consent agenda items? We have three things. One is the expenditures of almost 1.1 million. And then we have a resignation of Andrew Rienstra-Ehlers, who actually moved out to Holland, moved out of the district, resigned from the Parks and Recs Committee. And then you should see in your packet Sara Acker's application for Parks and Recreation. I had happened a chance to meet Sara. Know her and her husband is very involved in the Kennewick Hills community and a business professional, and I think will be a great value add to that committee. So that's kind of the consent agenda. Any discussion on those items?
I will make a comment. I know Sara Acker personally, and she's very energetic. She's very knowledgeable. She's a very strong leader, very family orientated and community orientated. I think that, and she's a lot of fun. I think she's going to be a really good asset to this committee. I think that you guys chose very well. She's very involved, I believe, in other Grand Rapids events and causes as well. But and her husband Joe is, I believe, a coach for baseball, and I don't know if he is for football as well. But is he? Okay, yeah, very good choice, and I think she'll be very helpful to this whole committee.
Well, and I think that professional background of the employee benefits, and she's into the health and wellness, that holistic view. So I think that's a bit of the some of the strategy is Parks and Rec is coming together, getting the right people in the right seat on the bus.
Yeah.
Yep. So, all right. Anything else on consent agenda or agenda items? All right. I will. We have got time. We have no audience quite yet. I will turn to my right, Madam Clerk. Anything for the good and the order? We'll hit manager, clerk, commissioner comments. Okay. And preparations for election is.
Preparations have started. We have quite a few absentee applications for ballots already returned because we used dual applications in August. So we are receiving more of those for just the November as well. So, okay. But ballots should arrive the week of September 26th.
Okay.
And then they'll go in the mail.
Awesome. Thank you. Mr. Gilbert? Good. Okay.
Quickly, Parks and Rec met last week. They are having an open house this Thursday at Alpine Estates Park from 5:30 to 7:30, and I don't know that I can make it, so wondered if anyone from Ward 3 or Ward 1, messes with me, would be able to go in my place just to get comments on the master plan.
I am going to try to be there.
I'll be out of town. Sorry.
Guess it's just me.
If my schedule clears up, I'll try to attend as well.
Okay. Awesome. Good. All right. Nice and easy.
I really like the new signs. I think that they look nice. I've had some comments on that, so job well done, staff. And then I did take the Park and Rec survey because I wasn't sure that I'd be able to attend on Thursday, but I have kind of a tentative meeting schedule and it might fall through in the evening. So I'll try to attend if I can. So I thought it was a rather long survey, but a good survey. I thought there was a lot of good content in there. And then also I have a question about the trails. I had a resident reach out to me, excuse me, in regards to e-bikes, wondering if e-bikes were allowed on the trails. And I said they probably are as long as they're not under power. But do we know, or is there, I guess I can contact the trails, or they could too, but do we have a Walker statement? Okay, that's what I said. I don't think they're prohibited.
We haven't designated them yes or no.
Right. Well, I don't think, and typically, I don't think any motorized form of motion is allowed on the trail, but as long as it's not on power, I don't think you can do anything about it. But that was just something that was brought to me, and I didn't really know how to respond. I just wondered if you guys knew.
Good stuff. Commissioner Burke?
Still pondering the e-bike situation. That's an interesting question. I had the honor of speaking at LMCU Park a couple Saturdays ago for the Ashley Home Store 5th annual at the park there, Veterans Celebration. It was a great event. Thanks to Ashley Home Stores for looking out for our veterans. A really enjoyable day. And then I was getting my oil change last week. I think, and Mayor, you already know this. I noticed that Keller Ford has changed ownership to LaFontaine, and I started talking with them about things, and they have a lot of dealerships on the other side of the state. They're expanding out here. They're very community oriented, very community minded. They want to try and help us build Alpine out the way it's in the best interest for them and for the community. We talked a lot about electric vehicles because frankly the company is concerned about the mandate they have for going electric and the legislative requirements to do that, and how we'll build out a grid to support that. So really fascinating conversations, Mayor. I think you'll be very happy to see them when they come. They're coming to see you end of the month, right? No, I should be there as well. So thank you.
Good stuff. Mr. Walsh?
Good evening. Would you like me to cover the 2 items on the agenda?
Absolutely. We've got time.
We do. We got more than enough time. But why don't we start with the later item on the agenda, which is the second reading of that rezoning for the property on Northridge Drive for Honeycrisp Ventures. If you recall last time when we did the first reading, and Steve, feel free to jump on in on this one because it is a planning commission item as well. They're looking to rezone property from CPUD to IPUD in Walkerview. And this was one of those oddball lots that's kind of restricted by a ravine behind it. And it has a lot of road frontage, but not a lot of depth. So they're gonna have a challenge putting a final area site plan together. But at this point, they're looking just to have the second reading of the rezoning, which would then enter the public, what is that? The referendum period for 8 days, and then the rezoning would be official. The rezoning to me, I think, and you heard from Planning Commission as well, consistent with the master plan. And it's probably one of those commercial lots for which the commercial went too deep into Walkerview. It's on the backside of the hotel that was built. And it's probably better used for industrial. Commercial that far into a development where you can't really see it is a challenge. So if this gets approved tonight for second reading, then I would look for a final area site plan down the road. And Honeycrisp is the group that built the large industrial building at the southwest corner of 4 Mile and Fruit Ridge. So that's kind of their construction style, and it seems like that's what we're getting, these very large buildings that then could be subdivided and re-subdivided and kind of custom fit to a variety of uses. So that's that one. I'll hand it over to Commissioner Gilbert.
Yeah, I mean, not much for me on that one. I think Frank did a good job of summing it up. I think from the master plan perspective, we kind of viewed this as you're just kind of shifting that line a little bit, because this is one of those border properties where we had transitioned from IPUD to CPUD, and I think that what we've found is that the utility, the demand right now is in the IPUD, and it doesn't change the intent of what we were trying to do in the area to move that line over one more parcel to make sure that we're maximizing the utility of everything we've got there, and I think better aligning it to what we're hoping to achieve in the area. So that would be my perspective on that.
Okay, so that's that item. Glad to take any questions you have. This is second reading. The other item that we have on the agenda is a contract and scope for VIRIDIS for our Parks and Recreation Master Plan. So we provided that for you folks to review. I went to the city attorney and reviewed the contract, and he made a couple of changes. If there is any legal issues, the venue is in Kent County, Michigan. That's one of the things we always look for. I know the mayor is big on that. The scope has expanded about $6,000, and that is because, and Jessica, feel free to jump on in here, the Parks and Rec Committee wanted to add additional site concept plans for some parks, 3 plans, and then additional public outreach, particularly in the first ward. So we're still well under the $50,000 max for this project. The not to exceed fee with the additional work is $25,587. So we're about 50% of that budget, which is good. And I'm hopeful that we're going to kick it off running here with VIRIDIS, and I'm confident that they're going to get us to the deadline. Their project management plan still shows that they will have this all wrapped up into the DNR by February 1st of '23, just in case we need to do any grant writing later in the year. But do expect, and I know Jessica and I talked about this at the committee, if there is something that should be in the capital improvement plan for this coming budget year, you'll probably start hearing about that as we get closer to February 1st. We really haven't done any major projects in parks for a few years now. And there may be something that comes through that's relatively, I don't want to say inexpensive. There's nothing inexpensive with park development, especially now. But there may be something that we can have a high impact with that's a high priority coming out of this. And you'll probably see that raised for capital improvement plan for 23-24. So glad to take any questions you have on the contract or the scope. The scope, again, is the same thing, just with those additional park plans, which are really like master plans. They're kind of conceptual drawings with an itemized list of estimated cost. But Parks Committee is going to have quite a bit of work to do here to sort all this stuff out. But VIRIDIS is very qualified. And I'm confident that they're going to get us over the line here with a good product.
Good enough, thank you. Any questions for Frank? All right.
And last but not least, I'll throw out there that our former planning director, Tricia Anderson, resigned, so her last day was Friday. So I've picked up my office and moved down back into the community development department, which is probably timely for a variety of reasons. So Steve will have the pleasure of seeing me at Planning Commission here probably until the end of the year and maybe longer. We did post for a new planning director, and so that has been broadcast all over the place. And we're hopeful to get someone who's more of a turnkey employee, potentially with an AICP behind their name already. We're more than willing to do mentoring along the way, but I think we've learned that it would be good to bring in someone who's really more turnkey and then can just learn what we do here. But we're going to be very careful with this one because we know this is a very important position. And then Megan Gorby, our code enforcement officer, is in the process of being upgraded to staff planner zoning administrator. So we'll probably see that at Personnel Committee to update her job description, but she's definitely an asset to the Community Development Department. And she's already helping me out just starting today with zoning and site plan review of signs and land divisions and those kind of things. So that's enough. So you'll see me down at the other end of the building for a few months.
Questions?
She'll do well in that position.
Yes, she will.
She'll do very well in that position.
All right, next down.
All right, just a couple quick updates. I don't know if you've heard, but the last year or so, there's this thing called the big opioid settlement going across the state where they're distributing money from the results of some lawsuits. So we are on track to receive some of those funds within the next 30 to 60 days. Doesn't amount to a whole lot. For us, it's about $2,400 a year and can be used by PD and fire department on opioid-related activities, whether that be training or some other things, but that's kind of what Keith is kind of gearing some of that funding towards. So should be seeing that money in the next few weeks. Property tax payments due Wednesday. So if you haven't paid your property taxes, been busy few days at the front counter. I imagine tomorrow and especially Wednesday we'll be busy there. And then last but not least, we received our renewal for our health insurance for our employees, and pretty good news there. It's going up, but only 7%, so which is quite low compared to the trends we're seeing in the industry. So pretty happy with that renewal. So you'll most likely see in the next month or so a request to opt out of PA 152 like we do every year to keep our payments relatively the same for the employees. So good news there. We've got a pretty healthy workforce, and I think the wellness program we have has kind of, has helped out a little bit on that too. So good news there. So that's all I have.
All right. A few quick things now. I'll be mindful of the time, so I have Chief get us here before 7. Oh, sorry, a little wrong list here. So for our meeting on the 26th, we have a light agenda tonight, but we will definitely, we have quite a bit on the 26th we'll be covering. Expected to be on the list are the Bristol panel updates. I believe we're going to be selecting some of the design items around that. We'll have a IFT for the Schwalier district up in the north end. More to an update on the Kinney intersection, proposed Kinney intersection improvements. Then also the Weatherford Center Drive up by a Target up there, and a potential traffic circle up on that that area right up there. We do have an emergency management meeting at 4. Even though as a commissioner, if you're not appointed on there right now, that's a really good meeting if you're able to make it. Really good meeting to be able to attend at 4 o'clock, just because it gives a really broad, encompassing overview of what we do in emergencies. And one of the things that we're supposed to do when you have a new mayor come in, we're supposed to have that meeting right away. And it just seems like the minute that took place, we had a pandemic hit. We had some of our situations downtown that we were directly affected by. So we've managed already through a couple of crises, and quite frankly, because of our leadership team, present company excluded, we managed through that pretty darn well. And but this is a good thing for us to get up to date and to talk about a lot of the what ifs for that. So that'll be Monday the 26th at 4 o'clock right here in the commission chambers. My only other thing, quick updates, I do want to say a special thank you to Frank. I know we're going to be asking him to carry a lot on his shoulders for a little while here, and hopefully by the holidays he's got some reprieve around that. But I have a lot of comfort seeing him down there just because of the skill set and expertise, and I know we're going to get some things moving along down there. Daryl and I met earlier today, and Gary Postma met with, if you remember back, those have been around for a little while, the Fallen Warriors Memorial, and I have a proposed mock-up of the plans in the office, and again, that's very preliminary for out here by the across from the Police and Fire Memorial on a separate patch of land there. That is starting to pick up speed again, and it is public knowledge, there was $500,000 that was appropriated towards that project specifically for Walker. So that money is there. It's not in the city's hands at this point, but that's to upgrade that land out there and then bring that memorial to fruition. I would suspect we're going to easily be north of $1 million, might be $1.5 million from that, and hopefully from there's a philanthropy part of that campaign to help supplement what the state's already provided. So excited to see that get going again. And then last but not least, before I turn it over to the chief, is Daryl and I also met down at Grand Rapids Community College last week on the proposed regional public safety training facility. That's just the pause has been put on that temporarily right now, and more to come on that. But there's a couple of factors with that involved with it. But just knowing that Walker was selected as the site for that, they want to keep that in the. I know some of you are probably going to ask at some point, so I thought I'll just share with the group. Last but not least, I'll ask Chief to come up. But last Friday, as had shared with those that I spoke with, we had some unfortunate incident that started out in our city, and I cannot be proud of our department and how we handled everything. I know Chief's got a little bit of an update there. There is still an ongoing investigation, so I think some of the information he's able to share is going to be limited, but I will let him take it from here.
All right. Yeah, so here's I'll just give you a brief update on this as much as I can as what we got going and what we know so far. So Friday, about a little after 1 o'clock, we had 2 detectives down on Cedar Run Court investigating a prior stolen motorcycle complaint. While they're there, they had some contact with the homeowner there. They believe the suspects were inside the residence. One detective was in the backyard. A suspect came out, jumped over the railing. A small struggle ensued. The subject started to get away from him, pulled a weapon out, and pointed at the detective. The detective shot him, and then the subject fled. We had a big chase. None of our officers were hurt, thank goodness. It was tough. So, big chase happens, subject flees. We call off the chase. He ends up abandoning his vehicle down by Johnson Park. Numerous other agencies involved. He dumps his car at the old Fensky dump, if everyone knows where that's at. Swims the river, ends up over into Jenison, steals a U-Haul that a family was trying to unload at their residence. When that takes place, another big chase occurs. Numerous cars, cruisers crashed, more shots fired. They end up Ottawa County, State Police in Granville ended up apprehending them. He spent the night in the hospital over the weekend. We were up there all weekend. He is at the Kent County Jail now. And the whole case has been turned over to the Kent County Sheriff's Department because of our officer-involved shooting. And that's where we're at right now with this. So it is an ongoing investigation. Kent County will handle all of our charges and whether our force used was justified. So we're hoping yet this week we can get charges. He's not going anywhere. Now I won't get into all that, why, but there's other things that are pending. So we will get charges this week and go from there. So that's kind of what I'll leave it at. If there's any questions I can answer, I will.
Commissioners, questions, comments?
Great job, Chief.
It got pretty hairy Friday afternoon really quickly. And just appreciate the commissioner's support, and I think we speak unanimously knowing there still is the investigation going on, but we stand with our detective on them. I mean, there's, in our mind, everything is justified there. So job well done to the crew, and I know we chased them through a good part of the south end of Walker down there.
Yeah, I mean, it was crazy, so, but yeah, it's just one of those things you did never want to deal with.
No, well, we've got a good outcome. Everybody got to go home to their families Friday
Amen.
night. That's what matters. So good. Anything else on your docket you want to let us know about?
Oh. What do we got going? I mean, we had the fatal crash in Standale. That's still being investigated. There's a lot more to it than I think what was let out in the press there of the actions and who had what. So as of right now, it looks like the victim went out in front of the car, which is unfortunate. So they're trying to wrap that up. Heroin overdose today up in Old Orchard, so they're dealing with that again today. So yeah, it's out there. It's happening. The Kia thieves stopped a little bit during the week, so now the weekend is when they're kind of hitting. I think Sunday night was a big night again. I think Grand Rapids had 6-8 of them Sunday night. Monday, I believe, we had a couple again. So we're thinking this is going to turn into a weekend thing because these kids, I think, they're in school. But yeah, so it's still happening. So it's a big thing. It's crazy, the numbers. It's going national. You're seeing these numbers throughout the nation now of how many cars are being stolen, and it's crazy. So we do have another task force night coming up with the big assist of MSP Aviation Unit. So we'll have that again and see if we can keep hammering it. So I think that's about all we've had kind of going this week.
And you give them an update on the accreditation.
Oh, accreditation, yeah, good one there. So we, the accreditation, we did our mock assessment on, I don't even know what today is, Thursday. Yeah, Thursday. So that went very well. We had 15 people in here from different agencies throughout the state go through all our policies, department, and kind of give us some pointers of things we need to change, update a little bit. Looking pretty good on it. There's a few things we just have to clean up a little bit, but overall they were very impressed with what we had. So our true assessment when the state comes in should be towards the end of November, beginning of December to get that done. That's been a 3-year process of rewriting policies, updating everything, but then the goal is to get accredited beginning of December. So, but everything looked very well at that point. A lot of little stuff. So, but yeah, accreditation is going on. So, yeah. Anything else?
Job well done this week.
So, yeah, it was a team effort.
Yep.
So,
Well done.
good.
All right, commissioners, any other topics for conversation? We are at 6:55. We got about a 5-minute window.
Can you give us an update on the senior center?
Senior Center, we'll know a little bit more this week because, great question. There was an application that Senior Neighbors made for some of the ARPA funding from the Kent County, or from Kent County, not the Kent County, from Kent County. And that was, quite frankly, I emphasized to Commissioner Steck, our chair of the county board, that was the only request that came out of the city of Walker was for the Senior Neighbors. So very candidly, I'd shared there's a very high expectation. We don't ask for very much out here. So for that little thing, the request came in from Senior Neighbors with letters of support from the city that were provided. So we're optimistic because it did make it past the first cut, and there was not an additional one that we were aware of after that. So we're optimistic there. And the matter of fact, the public safety facility that's being proposed may or may not have some impact from the ARPA money as well. So this week's a big week we're hoping the county rolls the dice in our favor. So we are, I do believe, and correct me if I'm wrong, Daryl, they have had contractors in there. There's been, so they've been actually going up there. We've provided them a key to go into the building at their convenience during the day to bring prospective contractors in, architects, what have you, of getting things tightened up there. So that's going to move pretty quick. So I think at this point we're waiting to see what happens with the county with the funding from the ARPA money, and from that, that should be able to move fairly quickly for next steps. And anything I've missed on that one?
No, just that the contractors that are there are just kind of looking at it for bid purposes. They're not doing any construction yet, but at least get an idea what's involved. So hopefully when the funding comes through, they can give them the go sign and do some changes that they're looking at doing. So.
And I think I did see earlier today there was a request. There may be the board, I believe, for Senior Neighbors had asked if they could actually meet up there in a week or two, couple of weeks. Actually meet up there for a luncheon and or late afternoon thing to kind of view the facility. So while this board, this commission has kind of that ultimate say, I think we're all in a pretty united spot here of where we're going for now. It's just we're figuring out how we're paying for it. But I would suspect we're on a fast track to get something done and started yet this year would be my guess. Yep. So 6:58, we're almost there. Chief, you have nothing else? We had a good meeting about, we missed the building committee thing, so did we touch on building committee? We had a good meeting, building committee today, talking about the library, and quick summary of that, just to burn a little time here, is the Scott Connors gave us a update on where we are at and where he thinks the next. Daryl provided additional support, and I like where we're at. I think we're ready to have an RFP go out to. He's at this point starting to formulate and finalize that piece, and that'll be able to go out to prospective architect engineer firms sometime. I'm not going to make a time commitment, but I don't think too far in the future here. Several weeks out. Yeah, several weeks out. I don't want to break Scott. We've asked a lot of him lately. So I'm excited that we're that one's starting to move and move somewhat quickly. So. All right, I'm watching the phone, so it's official here. And, you know, the discussions, do we go out, do we go up, maybe down a little, I mean, maybe a combination of all the above type of thing. But having somebody that, somebody's got the structural expertise, can the current building take an additional story on it? Can we go further out? Do we go that way? Do we go this way? Both? But I think we're all excited to finally be moving. But Well, it is officially 7 o'clock. That was loud, sorry. I'll call our regular city commission meeting to order, and I'd like to ask Commissioner Babcock to deliver the invocation, please.
Let us pray. Lord, we come to you today to seek your guidance on all decisions we make as a commission, that they may be made with purpose and in the best interest of our community as a whole. Lord, we think about our students and teachers who've recently returned to school. Please bless them this year and help keep them safe and healthy. We ask that any speed bumps along the way for the students and teachers are received with grace and humility, and that they only learn and grow from any adversities they might encounter. Please bless our city staff, police and fire, and everyone else who works tirelessly to take care of the city of Walker. We also remember those impacted in the September 11 tragedy 21 years ago and pray for the continuous healing of those impacted, and that we never forget those who made the ultimate sacrifice. Lord, we come to you with all these things in your name. Amen.
Thank you. I'd like to invite everybody to stand and join us for the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you all. If I could please ask our clerk to call the roll.
Mayor Carey,
Present.
Commissioner Gilbert, Commissioner Babcock,
Present.
Commissioner Groders,
Present.
Commissioner Chase, Commissioner DeShane,
Present.
and Commissioner Burke.
Present.
All right, next, thank you. Next on our list is the approval of minutes from the August 22nd, 2022 City Commission meeting. If there is no discussion on those minutes, I'll entertain a motion for approval and support, please.
I'll make that motion.
I'll support.
Commissioner DeShane, Commissioner Chase, is there any other discussion on the minutes? Seeing none, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed? All right, minutes are approved. We have no public, so there's no public comment on agenda items. Next is the reports from city manager on the VIRIDIS contact. Anything further, Frank, on your end from that? Any formal action, or are we more for informational at this point?
I would prefer a motion just to fill up the record so we can track.
Fair enough. So as we covered the new contract agreement with VIRIDIS and the scope of that moving forward, and actually sounds like the Parks and Rec with the open house, the plans, and we're getting a lot of opportunity for the community to provide feedback, which is, I think, has all of us excited. But basically at this point, I'll entertain a motion for approval and support on the contract and scope if there's no other discussion.
I'll make a motion to approve.
Support.
Commissioner Babcock, Commissioner Gilbert, any other discussion on the VIRIDIS contract? Seeing none, all those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Those opposed? All right, that is passed. We're official. Next on the list, there's 3 items on the consent agenda. First is the expenditures in the amount of $1,046,552.24. Next is, as we discussed in the 6:30 meeting, one from the Parks and Rec Committee and an appointment to backfill that opening. If there's no discussion on said items, I'll entertain a motion for approval and support.
So moved.
Commissioner
I'll support.
Groders, Commissioner DeShane. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Those opposed? We are good, thank you. Next on the list is the second reading of Ordinance 22-522, rezoning of 9.05 acres of 2000 Northridge Drive from CPUD to IPUD in the Walker PUD district. Is there any discussion or questions around the rezoning? Seeing none, I'll entertain a motion for approval and support, please.
Motion to approve ordinance 22-522 on the second reading.
Support.
Thank you, Commissioner Burke. Commissioner Gilbert, any other discussion? All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Those opposed? All right, that is passed. Still no public. Chief, anything else? You want to be out of here? All right. Commissioners, city managers, is there any other things we missed or things to discuss? Seeing none, we'll entertain a motion for approval to adjourn and support, please.
I'll make a motion.
Commissioner
Support.
Chase, Commissioner Groders, all those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Those opposed, we stand adjourned. Thank you.